night tonight. We got a little college ball, a little NFL ball, and a little high school ball. We're going to hit them all tonight over the next 2 hours. Guest lineup looks like this. Coming up in about 20 minutes or so, Brad Spielberger, Pro Football Focus, and OverTheCap.com. We are 27 days away from NFL free agency. To give that a little context, I'm a numbers guy. You probably know that by now if you've listened to me. The Jacksonville Jaguars season ended 24 days ago. Free agency is in 27 days. We are almost to the middle point from when the Jaguars season came to an end to when free agency arrives. It's going to get here quick. So we're going to talk with Brad from Pro Football Focus and OverTheCap.com, Brad Spielberger, and he's going to give you a blueprint. Salary structure, what can be done to get under the cap, who could get released, how can you re-sign Evan Ingram, Jawan Taylor, and Arden Key. We'll do all that with the Pro Football Focus's Brad Spielberger coming up in about 20 minutes. In about 40 minutes, boy, the middle of February, you would think there wouldn't be a ton of college football news, but let's examine the last 7 days. Mike Norvell gets a contract extension in Tallahassee. Texas and Oklahoma, because of a $100 million buyout, are going to join the Southeastern Conference in 2024 and not have to wait till 2025. And today, the Georgia Bulldogs lose offensive coordinator Todd Monken to the Baltimore Ravens, but they replace him with former Georgia quarterback Mike Bobo. So there's a ton going on in the world of college football. We'll touch upon it all with my man Brent Beard. You see him on First Coast News. You also get him here weekly on Hacker After Dark. And in the 11 o'clock hour, it is the high school spotlight. Brand new head coach of my alma mater, the Wolfson Wolfpack, Jermaine Wilson's going to join us to talk about his job at Wolfson, talk about his job that he was at, Mandarin's defensive coordinator, during their state championship run a few years ago. So Jermaine Wilson, the brand new head coach of the Wolfson Wolfpack. We'll also go to St. Johns County, talk to Mike Kolakowski of Tocoi Creek. 43 years in the coaching profession. The last two to get that Tocoi Creek program off the ground. But Coach K is calling it a career, announcing his retirement last week. So we'll talk with Mike Kolakowski of Tocoi Creek on the high school spotlight tonight. And as the coaching carousel begins to wind down here locally on the high school gridiron, Justin Barney of Channel 4 will stop by as he normally does for the high school spotlight. So as you can tell, we got a lot to do. We're glad you're with us on a Tuesday here on Hacker After Dark. As we do every night, we kick it off with a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
It is a big deal. A very, very happy birthday. I believe 59 years young today to Jacksonville Jaguar general manager Trent Baalke. I put on Twitter earlier, if you're a Jaguar fan, which I assume most of you listening are, what do you get Trent Baalke for his birthday today? Do you get him a thank you card for last season? Or do you get him an I'm sorry card apologizing for throwing that man under the bus? You probably deserve to give him both. Trent Baalke, 59 years today. Happy birthday. What a job he did to help rebuild this Jaguar roster. What a job he has done taking over for the abysmal job, the absolutely horrendous job that his predecessors, Shaq Harris, Gene Smith, and Dave Caldwell did. Trent Baalke is by far and away the best general manager the Jacksonville Jaguars have had this century, and it's not even close. And amidst all the backlash, all the venom, all the just downright awfulness spewed at him by Jaguar fans in 2021. Trent Baalke put his head down, went to work, and completely turned over this roster. And turned back-to-back number one picks in the draft, meaning the worst rosters in football, into a division champion, along with, obviously, Doug Peterson. And now the Jaguars, have you seen these power rankings that are coming out? ESPN.com, Pro Football Network, all Sports Illustrated, the way too early 2023 NFL power rankings. I can't find one that doesn't have the Jaguars in the top 10. Not one. There are a ton of expectations. So Trent Baalke proved everybody wrong. He thrived amidst you, the Jaguar fan, dressing up as clowns, you, the Jaguar fan, destroying him on social media, and you, the Jaguar fan, desperately wanting him gone about 13 months ago. And don't deny it, because you did. It's okay to be wrong. I'm wrong a lot. But like I've told you, you guys point out when I'm wrong. I'm now pointing out when you're wrong. And you were wrong, most of you, in your thoughts about Trent Baalke. But we've moved past that. Now, for Trent Baalke, he's got 27 days to make some pretty interesting decisions. They being the Jaguars, are going from the hunter to the hunted. They're not going to sneak up on anyone anymore. They're not the lowly Jaguars anymore. They're not the team that others may overlook anymore. And if you look at that schedule, and we've talked about that schedule next year, good heavens, man. Games against Cincinnati, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, San Francisco, Buffalo, Kansas City, Tampa Bay, New Orleans. Go on down the line. It is a brutal, brutal schedule for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Will Jawan Taylor be part of it? Will Evan Ingram be part of it? Will Arden Key be part of it? What can the Jaguars do to improve their roster here in free agency? They're going to have to be... Denmark, are you old enough to remember the Blue Light Special?
No idea what that is.
Yeah. It was towards the tail end of my childhood, and I'm way older than you. The Blue Light Special was at a store that used to be called Kmart, Denmark.
Oh, I'm old enough to remember Kmart now.
You do remember Kmart.
Yeah, that was one on
Nobody
Boulevard way back when.
I had one over in Mandarin. It's just an abandoned building now on San Jose Boulevard. Been told they're going to put a shopping center in there for years. It's just sitting there doing nothing.
My Kmart is a storage unit.
Well, there you go. But the Blue Light Special was just what it sounds like. Discounted prices, right? Instead of the Jaguars shopping at Macy's or, wherever, Marshall's, they're going to be shopping at the Dollar General. But you can find some good deals at stores like that in free agency. I brought up one last night. They're going to have to replace Dan Arnold. I don't think Dan Arnold's coming back. So, go out and bring in an Austin Hooper. Hayden Hurst, a Jacksonville resident from the Bowles School, is available. They're not going to command gigantic money. Those are the type of guys you're going to have to sign. You're not going to see the big splash for the Jaguars on day 1 or day 2 or day 3 of free agency. They're going to have to be bargain shoppers. But this offseason, to me, is about filling gaps. Last year, you were trying to cover up huge, gigantic holes in this roster. And you did. With Christian Kirk and Zay Jones and Brandon Sheriff and Foye Oluokun, Foley Fatukasi, Darius Williams, Evan Ingram, on down the line. Gigantic holes that Trent Baalke covered. And those players thrived. This year, it's about filling in the smaller gaps. Getting another interior defensive lineman that can be part of the rotation. Getting better special teams play on linebacker, maybe another safety. something to improve the secondary at corner. Again, you're not going to have the big splashes by Trent Baalke. He did that unbelievably well last year. But can he this offseason fill in the smaller gaps? That's the goal for the Jaguars. That's going to be the free agency beginning in 27 days for the Jaguars. They're going to be bargain shopping. They're not going to be throwing wads of cash like nobody's business like they did a year ago. No. Now it's all about clipping coupons out and finding the best deal with the limited resources that you're going to have. Other news in the world of the NFL today in the AFC South, the Indianapolis Colts finally on February the 14th have their coach, Shane Steichen, the former offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. Welcome to the AFC South. So DeMeco Ryans in Houston, Shane Steichen in Indianapolis to join Mike Vrabel at Tennessee, and of course, Doug Peterson here in Jacksonville. Indianapolis needs a lot of work. A lot of work. But how about Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts today? Did you see that press conference? Jim Irsay talking about, yeah, we need a young quarterback, and I got to tell you, that kid from Alabama looks pretty good. Well, great, Jim. Yeah. I mean, we probably knew that anyway. Who knows if Bryce Young falls there? And maybe Jim Irsay is playing the game, right? Playing mind games with the Texans. Or playing mind games with anybody else that thinks they need to trade up to take Bryce Young. This is an odd thing to say at an introductory press conference, how good the, quote, kid from Alabama looks. Other NFL news today coming out in the last couple of hours. It is official. After 9 years with the Raiders organization, Derek Carr officially released. The Raiders save upwards of $29 million against the cap by releasing Derek Carr. So Derek Carr is a free agent. He is free to sign anywhere he wants. He's already visited New Orleans. There's legitimate talk that Carolina could have interest, legitimate talk that the New York Football Jets could have interest. I would think a team like Tampa Bay could have interest. You look at the quarterback crop this offseason, depending on what happens with Aaron Rodgers and depending on what happens with Lamar Jackson, you're not going to have a better option than Derek Carr. The guy's a multi-time Pro Bowler. The guy's been very durable. You could do a lot worse than Derek Carr. So if you need a quarterback, whether you're in New Orleans or Carolina, like we said, Tampa, the Jets, whomever, I would think Derek Carr is going to garner a lot of interest. And I would think Derek Carr is going to take his time. Why sign in the next couple of days? Get courted. Get recruited, if you will. Take visits. Relive your college years. So Derek Carr, the first big domino post-Super Bowl, as he is officially released today by the Las Vegas Raiders. There's a lot to get into with the offseason again. We're inside of 4 weeks, still free agency. The Combine is before that, as the NFL offseason really will pick up here over the next couple of days and weeks. With that, Brad Spielberger, Pro Football Focus, and OverTheCap.com. Let's lay out a blueprint for the Jaguars. This is what Brad does. He is a salary cap analyst for one of the biggest pro football websites out there. He studies the numbers, studies the decimal points, and in his case, studies the dollar signs. What does Jacksonville need to do to get under the cap? What do they need to do to be able to re-sign Evan Ingram, Jawan Taylor, Arden Key? Who do they need to restructure? What did Trent Baalke mean earlier this offseason, saying cash is more important than the salary cap? We'll get into all that with Brad Spielberger of Pro Football Focus. That's next, a Tuesday night edition of Hacker After Dark with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Does Flutie have a pro miracle?
I'm Doug Flutie on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Here's Flutie rolling out, and he is in for the touchdown.
Want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Owen. I'm a cigarette.
Do you like being a cigarette?
No, I don't. Not really into killing thousands of people. Sorry, no filter.
Right.
What's your sign?
Pisces?
I'm a Cancer. Cigarette joke. But seriously, I do cause cancer. And heart disease. And strokes. I could go on forever. Unlike the people who smoke me.
The average smoker lives 10 years less than non-smokers. Quit today. Find out how at tobaccofreeflorida.com.
Hey Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Northeast Florida Safety Council has been keeping Florida safe for 80 years. I'm Dominic Whitley, Environmental Health and Safety Director. What kind of safety culture have you developed at your business? Safety is a saver of lives, limb, and the bottom line. A great safety culture protects your most important investments, your employees and your business, and results in great success. Let us help you develop a successful safety culture. Visit us at nefsc.org and become an elite member today. Again, that is nefsc.org.
Hey, Hickett here. The Borland Groover Foundation proudly presents the annual March to Get Screened 5K race and 1 mile fun run Sunday, March 26th. The race starts at 8 a.m. under the Fuller Warren Bridge. The mission? To raise awareness and prevent colorectal cancer. All proceeds benefit the Borland Groover Foundation, a nonprofit organization devoted to helping the community and saving lives. Visit marchtogetscreened.com for more.
The moves.
This man right here does whatever it takes.
The rumors and speculation.
There's something good going on around here.
Follow the off-season with Tire Outlet and 1010XL.
Why can't it be us?
Tire Outlet. Wholesale prices, premium service.
Here's Linda Beaver.
This month, Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet wants to show all our customers just how much we love them. How can we prove our love? Well, how about purchasing with a peace of mind? Every new vehicle comes with a 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty, and every certified pre-owned comes with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Plus, this month only, every lady who purchases a vehicle will receive a free $500 gas card. Free gallons for Valentine's Day? I love it. This month, love yourself and love your car. Head to Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville. We're here to wow you.
It all begins with Speed Weeks and the 65th running of the Daytona 500, February 15th through the 19th. Answer this question for a chance to win a pair of tickets to the Daytona 500, February 19th. How many miles is the Daytona 500? Text the number of miles only to 641-1010. How many miles is the Daytona 500? Text the number of miles only to 641-1010 for a chance to win.
Welcome to Rockville, the world's center of rock. May 18th through the 21st, 2023 at Daytona International Speedway with Tool, Slipknot, the return of Avenged Sevenfold, Pantera, plus Godsmack, Deftones, Evanescence, Rob Zombie, Queens of the Stone Age, Alice Cooper, Incubus, Hardy, Pussifer, Chevelle, I Prevail, and so many more. 95 plus bands over 4 days in beautiful Daytona, Florida. Welcome to Rockville, May 18th through the 21st. Single day weekend and camping passes on sale now at welcometorockville.com. Tool, Pantera, Avenged Sevenfold, and Slipknot. Welcome to Rockville, the world center of rock.
Sports fans, it's Carissa Thompson here. And you know, every few years, a new social media platform comes out that changes the world, right? But here's the thing. There's never been a major social media platform built specifically for sports fans until now. My team and I are proud to introduce Stunt, a social platform for sports fans to get involved, post sports takes, and be discovered. Who knows? Download the Stunt app for free now in your mobile app store or visit thestunt.com. Download it now and let's talk sports on Stunt.
Hello, Jacksonville. This is Greg McGarity, President and CEO of Gator Bowl Sports. The TaxSlayer Gator Bowl game and events have been a Jacksonville staple for more than 75 years. We support more than 4,200 local youth annually through Gator Bowl charities. Gator Bowl Sports is a perfect way for local companies and individuals to get involved. We'd love to meet with you and talk about how you can join our team. If you'd like to learn more, contact us at 798-1700, 798-1700.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the Accident Attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, the Super Bowl is on the horizon, and after that, all eyes will look towards free agency Monday, March the 13th. The Jaguars have a lot of questions and not a lot of time to answer them. About 5 weeks or so away from some serious decisions being made here in Duval County. With that, Brad Spielberger of Pro Football Focus and OverTheCap.com. It's what he does, man. He knows the salary cap, and we love having him on here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Brad, it's been a while, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back. How you doing?
Hey, Brad, we're good. Always appreciate the time. And, look, you're a busy man 365 days of the year, but about a month out from free agency, that certainly gets amped up for you a little bit. The Jaguars a year ago had, to me, what might be one of the great free agent hauls in franchise history. Brad, just a quick review, man. The free agents the Jaguars brought in a year ago, and your thoughts on how those guys performed.
Yeah, they obviously are consistently big spenders, and there have, of course, been some unfortunate misses in years past, and I think last year was a great year to bring in some foundational core pieces. Even some of the guys that didn't work out right out of the gate, like a Darius Williams, for example, you finally put him back to outside cornerback where he's more comfortable, and I think you see him play what you expected when you signed him. I think a lot of the moves that got panned, obviously Christian Kirk has been this big narrative, but also Zay Jones's deal, got criticized as well, and he had a big year and kind of took that step that many people, obviously in Jacksonville, thought he could. So, and then the smaller deals, obviously the one-year flyer for Evan Ingram looks great. Arden Key, I think, was one that I know I loved and shouted out as a phenomenal signing in the moment, not just now in hindsight that they had a great season. But, yeah, it was a really, really good haul for them and changes, the trajectory of this team going forward.
They spent a lot of money last year, and conventional thinking is you spend a ton of money one year, you're not going to be able to spend a ton of money the next year, and I agree with that. Although Trent Baalke has been praised, Brad, and I'm curious your thoughts. I mean, this is what you do. He's been praised for how he's structured a lot of these contracts. It was big money on the surface, but when you dig a little deeper into Christian Kirk, Brandon Sheriff, some of these deals, it's not maybe as bad as some would have indicated, when it happened a year ago.
So what they did is they didn't do a ton of front loading with these massive signing bonuses. And so why that matters now when you're talking about maybe spending again, and I do think maybe it's not as big as last year where they set the record, for the most total guarantees and most first-year cash ever given to external free agents. But what he did was you can still restructure some of these deals, and not to go too deep in the cap weeds, but essentially you can push more cap down the line to enable yourself to spend more on players this offseason. So, yeah, he didn't give these massive signing bonuses that will, hinder their ability to move money around even more. And so they can go ahead and do that on their top guys that they believe will be around for the future. Because, look, the trend across the NFL the last couple years is when you have that quarterback going into the third year of his rookie contract, which, of course, is the case for Trevor Lawrence, that has often been the big, big spending window. We saw it with the Chargers, the Giants, the Cardinals. And you go back years, and every team kind of capitalized on that last rookie year deal before the fifth-year option. So I think the Jaguars will spend a little bit and see if they can make an even deeper playoff push with Trevor Lawrence.
Brad Spielberger here with us, PFF and OverTheCap.com on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Brad, before we start talking about the players, I do want to ask you about Trent Baalke. Guy got a bad rap in San Francisco. He quite frankly had a pretty bad rap here up until about Thanksgiving when the Jaguars decided to become one of the best teams in the NFL. As a guy that has watched Trent Baalke from afar, I'm sure you study general managers maybe a little more than most with what you do with the salary cap. Just an overall thought from you, Brad, on Trent Baalke and the job he's done here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, like you said, it's been a bit of a complete 180 from last season with the clown dress up and all that stuff. I mean, look, I think he was hit or miss in San Francisco. There were some good players they brought aboard. I think they were maybe too predicated on talent and ignoring everything else, which is, a thing that some teams do and often get away with. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl right now, and they've often, taken some risks on really talented players and ignored other things, and sometimes it bites them, sometimes it doesn't. I also would say that, we know that him and Jim Harbaugh were not the best of friends, and I think we underestimate how much coaches have to do, even with the players you bring in the draft, the players you bring in free agency. So, look, I think he's probably an average GM. I think that we need to see more of a body of work in Jacksonville, where now I do think Doug Peterson probably lets him, to a degree, or maybe more so than Jim Harbaugh, let him do his business. But I'll say this. Look, when we mocked those deals from last year, I talked to agents and and teams around the NFL. They called it the Jaguars tax. And it was basically, you got to pay more to convince my guy to go to Jacksonville. I'll tell you, with Trevor Lawrence looking like he did this year, that tax is gone, or it should be. And I think that also just fundamentally changes what they're capable of doing in building out this roster.
I think that's a fantastic point. Brad Spielberger, Pro Football Focus, and overthecap.com. All right, Brad, $32 million is the number that we're hearing the Jaguars are projected over the cap. Free agency begins Monday, March 13th. I'll start at the very basic. Shaq Griffin, I think you would save $13 million by cutting him. I mean, that's a no-brainer, correct?
I probably would agree with you there, yeah.
And the Shaq Griffin thing, look, you take a chance on a guy, a corner from Seattle, it didn't work out, but, you can get out of it 2 years after the deal. Again, that was constructed pretty well, in my opinion, by Trent Baalke.
Yeah, no, did not hinder yourself. You signed him at the same market as a lot of the other guys in that corner class in free agency. It was Will Jackson, who obviously, got cut by the Commanders this year, so didn't even finish his deal there. And that was the market. It was around $13 million. They were in the market. I thought that was actually going to be a nice signing. I thought he was a good player and a good fit in this defense. But, yeah, sometimes it doesn't work out.
All right, so Shaq Griffin's gone. $13 million of that $32 comes off. Now you're roughly $19 million over the cap. Now you got to start making some decisions. As you said, contracts can be restructured. We'll get to that in a moment. The two guys that I thought were no-brainers that they might get released, but then all of a sudden they became two of the Jaguars' best defensive players down the stretch, were Roy Robertson-Harris and Rayshawn Jenkins. I think combined you could save almost $13 million in cutting those guys, Brad, but at this point I think both guys might be too valuable. What's your thought there?
It's funny, you led me right there. I thought Jenkins, no question. I thought that was a rich deal when it first happened, and then I thought he kind of was playing at the level of the contract he should have gotten, not the one he did get. But yeah, then he has these game-changing, season-defining plays you maybe don't want to buy too much into, right? You want to look at the full body of work and break down every snap and not convince yourself that you have to keep a guy just because of some splash plays. But he clearly means a lot, and it had some foundational moments. So for him, I think it's probably still maybe more of a question because I think you can find replacement safety play for maybe less than he's honestly going to get paid next year at $8.5 million. You can find that. There are a lot of safeties always available in free agency. For me, Roy Robertson-Harris, I'm a Bears guy, so I saw him grow up and develop in the Chicago system, and I think he always had more untapped potential transitioning from an outside linebacker to adding weight and going to then DN and now kind of playing on the inside. I think you got to keep him. He was disruptive and a problem for opposing offenses. But then secondly, the inverse of the safety market, there's just not a lot of interior defensive line talent available. And so I think he is now on his price tag, a good value to keep on that roster. I wouldn't even be surprised if they maybe add a couple of years and extend him at this point. So that's kind of how I see those two playing out.
Another guy, and it's going to be a tough decision. Look, it's a business. It's tough decisions. Jaguar fans won't like some of this stuff if it happens. But Jamal Agnew, I think, is going to get paid $5 million next year, roughly. And you would save that against the cap if you release him. With the arrival of Calvin Ridley, I mean, how does Jamal Agnew factor into the offense? As great as he is on special teams, Brad, could you see that as a potential savings if they were to let Jamal Agnew go?
And so this is now where, and I know this is frustrating to hear, when you're a fan of an organization, you can't choose which organization you root for. And I don't know if we're here yet, but for me, you look at a team, if he was on, the Bills, whatever, they would approach him for a pay cut, and I think he would take it, right? Like, I think players would want to stay in a stable, good environment with a good coaching staff, with a good locker room, all those things. Maybe we are there now. Maybe Jacksonville is getting to that point where, say, hey, look, you're probably not going to get, broken off in free agency on some big deal. Maybe it's too much money at $4.75 million. Let's cut that in half, add some incentives and whatnot, and you can earn that money back. So maybe you try that approach with him. But those are kind of the things that now you hope to be able to do in a building where players want to come to.
Couple of more for Brad Spielberger, Pro Football Focus, and OverTheCap.com. Always love the salary cap conversation here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. All right, the Jaguars have 13 unrestricted free agents. I won't get into all of them, certainly. There's 3 big ones. We'll begin on Arden Key. You mentioned him earlier, Brad. He did a 1-year, quote, prove-it deal, and I think he did prove it. Arden Key, the Jaguars salary cap situation, how likely, how feasible would it be for the Jaguars to be able to keep him?
I think they definitely can, and I think they should. I think his inside-outside pass rush flexibility, kicking him on the inside on obvious passing situations and third downs, it just adds an element to this defensive line and this pass rush unit where now if you have development from Trayvon Walker, you obviously have Josh Allen, a stud on this team already, and it just enables you to do more. He's had his back-to-back best seasons in the NFL by a decent margin. I still think there's room for some growth, but I also don't think he's going to break the bank because to me, I don't see him becoming some 800, 900 snap guy. Like he's going to be your 500 snap, use him in certain situations, let him be fresh and kind of, get after the quarterback when it's most convenient. So I think it's entirely possible. I think I have him projected around $8 to $10 million per year, nothing crazy. And they do have a lot of flexibility here. I think he is a priority re-sign for them, no question.
Before we get into Evan Ingram and Jawan Taylor, Brad, speak to that flexibility. I mean, I think on paper, Christian Kirk counts $30 million against the cap right now. That will not be the case on March 13th, correct?
Right. You restructure his deal, but it's a simple restructure. You clear $11 million in cap space.
And how many, Brandon Sheriff, a lot of the guys that they signed last year, that's what they're going to do. So that $32 million that they're over the cap right now, based on what you're saying, that's going to evaporate relatively quickly.
Yeah, so, if you do the same thing with Cam Robinson, you clear about 7.7, 6.5 for Brandon Sheriff, 6.5 for Foye Oluokun. So right there, we just found $20 million more. And again, you don't want to always do this in perpetuity and always be pushing cap down the line, but all of these guys, their salaries are already fully guaranteed for next year. So, hey, that's a big part of it is that, look, we're paying this guy this money regardless. We're not kicking cap down the line on a non-guaranteed salary. That's what they're going to do, and they should do it with a handful of these players.
All right, Brad, the 2 big ones that have gotten all the talk here in Jacksonville. We'll begin with Evan Ingram. Again, another prove-it deal, and my gracious, did he prove it. His best year as a pro. I think a lot of that, quite frankly, had to do with the offense and Doug Peterson, and I think Evan Ingram has to realize what Doug Peterson and means with the tight ends in his offense, so you wonder how much that plays into his decision. But he's going to get some money, a 28-year-old tight end that did what he did this year. How feasible is it for the Jaguars to keep Evan Ingram?
Yeah, so the thing here is that the market at tight end is just still so suppressed, where if he had that type of year at, wide receiver, let's just say, comparable to what he did, you map it over to a position that is getting paid, like crazy, as opposed to a position that is kind of artificially capped by George Kittle's $15 million per year deal right now. I haven't projected around 3 years, $13 million per year, somewhere in that range, which is entirely feasible. That's a number 2 receiver in the NFL these days. That's Curtis Samuel and the Washington Commanders, just kind of a random name, came to mind. Like, you can pay that, right? I think you can find a way to do that. If he wants to, totally break the bank and go, way in the upper echelon of tight end compensation, maybe you say, hey, we'll look elsewhere. But I agree with you. I think he's going to realize, look, I just had the best season of my career, in large part because of the way I was deployed. I'm not lining up in line and doing things that are not, conducive to my skill set like the New York Giants used me. Doug Peterson's getting me the ball quickly on quick outs and just doing things to let me work in space, use my athleticism, all those things. So I think they'll find a way there as well. I think he would be smart to stay, and I do think he's a big piece of this Jaguars offense. They don't have a ton at tight end if they do let him go.
Final moments, Brad Spielberger, Pro Football Focus, and OverTheCap.com. Probably the biggest one's Jawan Taylor because of his age. He's coming off his best year. Brad, right tackles that have started every game in their 4-year career, they get paid on the open market. There is no question about that. What can Jacksonville do, if anything, to keep Jawan Taylor?
This one I think is maybe the most fascinating because, I mean, we saw what Walker Little can be. He's a really, really good young player, can play on both sides of the line, has at times. I mean, you take him with an early second-round pick, betting on a guy who missed his last year at college and had some injuries, but a prospect that when he did play, I know our draft analyst, Mike Renner, thought, like, hey, if this guy was healthy and played the whole way through, he's a top 10 pick. Like, that's the talent he is. He just fell for other reasons. So that makes it very, very interesting to me. Like you said, Taylor had his best year. We agree on all our metrics. He had his best year, was a really, really good pass protector, one of the best tackles in the entire NFL at not allowing pressure. I think it's going to get into the 14, 15, 16, maybe, million per year conversation. You obviously just paid Cam Robinson. Maybe they do go franchise tag, but it's a big number, and you maybe don't want to go through that again like you just did. That one's fascinating to me. I'm kind of giving a cop-out answer. They can find a way to get it done, but I wouldn't be shocked if maybe he squeaks out of there and they say, look, we have Cam Robinson and Walker Little. We feel comfortable there. We can save that money and spend it elsewhere. But at the same time, he is looking like a really good young player.
Not to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like Arden Key, Evan Ingram likely returns, Jawan Taylor maybe not so much. Would that be accurate?
I would still put, I would say 55% chance he leaves, right? Like, I still think it's a very, very close call on Taylor.
And Brad, final question. Trent Baalke at his postseason press conference a couple of weeks ago said cash is what's important, not the cap. What did he mean by that?
Yeah, so look, you can always manipulate the salary cap. Again, you don't want to go crazy with it and put yourself in this deep, deep hole. But at the end of the day, what matters more is the cash budget that you have at your disposal and your owner's willingness to spend money. If they are saying, hey, I want to spend a bunch, I want to surround this team and this young quarterback with talent, you can push those cap hits down the line like we talked about, and essentially it's like a credit card, right? That's how I like to say it is. You are pushing it down the line. The bill is going to come due eventually. But when you have Trevor Lawrence making, $9 million a year, and he's probably at this point worth $50 million a year, or getting into that conversation, all of those savings, you should spend around it. We talk about the quarterbacks on the rookie contracts in the Super Bowl this year again with Jalen Hurts. Only one Super Bowl the last decade in 2016 did not feature at least one quarterback on a rookie contract. So, yeah, what he's saying is, look, if we want to contend next year, the cap is not going to be the reason why we don't. Maybe cash will, and we can't spend as much as we like from a cash perspective. But if we want to manipulate the salary cap, we certainly can.
Brad Spielberger, Pro Football Focus and OverTheCap.com. Brad, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, I love what you guys do at PFF. If people want to read your work, what do you have coming out over the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, so the biggest thing is right up this wheelhouse. So I just released our top 100 free agents on PFF.com. Every single player has a write-up of their skill set, their scheme fit, team fit is coming soon, and then also their contract projection for all 100 players if you want to see, kind of maybe where their market is for every top free agent this offseason.
Brad, we love it. Let's do it again. Maybe on the eve of free agency. Can't thank you enough, my friend. We'll talk soon.
Sounds great. Thank you.
In a world where life can be predictable,
I will give them something they've never seen before.
1010XL.
Hi, Kevin here with Armor Guard Exteriors and Gutter Helmet. It's time to start your springtime projects. Don't wait. Our suppliers are ready to deliver gutters, gutter protection, retractable screens and awnings, window replacements, and glass on ice. So let's get started on your home improvement projects now and receive 18 months, 0 interest, and no money down. Call 904-906-8669.
Some listeners like you are experiencing firsthand the amazing pain relief from QC Kinetics, even calling your favorite radio host to share the good news.
QC Kinetics. I had my right ankle worked on 4 months ago. Awesome.
That's great,
look
Mick.
at that, man.
Yes, they worked on my elbow.
Every day, the QC Kinetics medical professionals treat patients like Mick with the latest regenerative therapies using natural biologics concentrated right at the hurting joint. No surgery, no downtime.
I'm telling you, QC Kinetics is the way to go. You if you don't want to go under the knife and suffer for 3 months.
Yep.
It was very easy, as you well know, with your elbow.
I'm telling
Anyways,
you.
you guys are awesome.
Mick, appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for the phone call. Really appreciate it. I'm so glad that QC Kinetics did some wonders for you. I mean, regenerative medicine, man, that's the thing these days. Living proof right there.
Call QC Kinetics now for your consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. 904-274-5522. Duck Duck Rooter is the only master septic contractor in Northeast Florida, and we want to help you protect your septic system. Think about this. What would happen to your car if you never changed the oil? Septic systems are no different and should be pumped at least every 3 years. Lack of maintenance is the #1 reason for septic system failure. Call Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services today to schedule your pumping.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769.
Find your why at the First Coast YMCA. Everyone can get involved and make a difference in your community at the Y. And if you'd like to turn your passion for this community into a fulfilling career, the Y is now hiring counselors, lifeguards, child care leaders, membership experienced staff, and more. Every single person on the dedicated YMCA staff plays a role in making the Y a welcoming and vital resource for the community. Find your career and your why at fcymca.org.
Equal Opportunity Employer.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On February 14th, 1971, in the 13th Daytona 500, Richard Petty wins his third Great American Race.
Well, hello there. I am the Guitar Hotel. I have over 3,000 of the newest slot machines and nearly 200 table games with real cards and real dealers. Come experience my incredible lineup of restaurants, bars, and of course, Hard Rock Live. Or spend a day soaking up the sun in my 18 acres of poolside paradise. I can't wait to meet you. Visit hardrockholly.com to find out more.
If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Golfers, tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops with the new 2023 Aerojet Woods and Irons from Cobra Golf. The new Aerojet Woods are designed with a unique aerodynamic shape that delivers faster clubhead speeds for longer drives. And the new Aerojet Irons are made with hot face technology, so every strike delivers more distance. Elevate your game by swinging into Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit on the new Cobra Woods and Irons today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops. Unmatched expertise, unmatched service.
Jacksonville is a great place to live. And if you love where you live, you should invest in it. That's why more and more people bank with One-to-One Financial, Jacksonville's hometown credit union. We invest every penny back into North Florida, backing the very best small businesses, nonprofits, and of course the family home. Why put your money with some big out-of-state bank when you can invest in where you love to live? One-to-One Financial. We're your hometown credit union. Sign up today at one-to-one-fcu.org. Federally insured by NCUA.
Get ready for some high stakes on the high banks of Daytona International Speedway on Thursday, February 16th. Be there to experience the intense action of the Blue Green Vacations Duel as the field for the Daytona 500 is set. With only 4 spots up for grabs, you don't want to miss this pair of exciting qualifying races as motorsport legends like Jimmy Johnson and Travis Pastrana try to race their way into the Great American Race. Don't wait. Secure your tickets today at Daytona500.com.
Hi, I'm Judy Dembowski, Executive Director of St. Francis Housing Crisis Center and Portland Storm Homeless Youth Center. Thank you to the players for helping us work towards a future in which all those in St. Johns County have a safe, permanent place to call home. 21 days until the Players.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Again, thank you to Brad Spielberger, Pro Football Focus, and OverTheCap.com. Look, I thought he laid out some interesting thoughts, particularly on the 3 big free agents. And, you know, that's what we've talked about for the most part over the last 3.5 weeks since the Jaguar season came to an end. But we should start getting some clarity. You started seeing it today. The Super Bowl is over, right? The offseason is here for all 32 teams. Derek Carr, I guess the first big domino to fall of the offseason, officially released today with the Raiders. But now it's about re-signing guys. It's about releasing guys. It's about franchising guys in about a week and a half. You're going to start seeing more of this news coming out with the knowledge that as we sit here today, we're 27 days away from free agency on Monday, March the 13th. So we should start getting some clarity on the Jaguars' plan, on guys they're going to release, on contracts they're going to restructure, and on guys they hope to re-sign before the market does open on the 13th day of March. So that is the National Football League side of things. There's a ton going on in college football for the month of February. An extension for Mike Norvell in Tallahassee. Texas and Oklahoma come into the SEC a year early thanks to a $100 million buyout. And Todd Monken today leaving Georgia to go back to the NFL to be the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, and Georgia promoting their former quarterback Mike Bobo to the OC spot. With that, let's talk about all of it with Brent Beard of First Coast News. You get him every week here on Hacker After Dark, here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Now,
hello.
Another great guest on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the accident attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The middle part of February has arrived. Believe it or not, the first spring football game officially out there in Honolulu, right? Hawaii, March 3rd, as they are already in spring ball. The Southeastern Conference spring practice begins next week with Missouri reporting their spring game is in the middle of March. With that, the college football world is always turning, and with that, we turn to Mr. Brent Beard. You see him on First Coast News here locally, and he's always kind enough to join us weekly here on Hacker After Dark. Mr. Beard, how are you, my friend?
Well, I'm doing well. This is a side note, and I won't spend any time on it, but I just thought this was interesting. It tells you where these guys end up sometimes in the merry-go-round. Mike Locksley at Maryland has hired Kevin Sumlin as Maryland's new not single, but co-offensive coordinator. Not sure who he'll share the role with, but boy, after Texas A&M, Houston, and Arizona, you never quite know sometimes that these guys are on top of the world one day, aren't they, Hack? In the net. And again, look, I'm sure that's not bad money, but I think we both know he was headed for bigger things than that.
Yeah, no question. Don't forget someone's big time there in the USFL about a year or two ago. So he's certainly been making the rounds now at the University of Maryland. Brent, it's been a busy week, man, particularly for the local teams here and the Southeastern Conference. Let's begin with Florida State. Last week, Mike Norvell, a contract extension through, the 2029 season. Yeah. Rewind the clock back 12 months. Not sure many people would have predicted that, but a well-deserved contract extension there in Tallahassee.
He was on the hot seat going into the year, and then they were able to right the ship, and now easily one of the most productive groups as far as bringing people back. They are number one in the country, Hack, in returning production, 87%. They're one out of 133 Division I schools, which frankly is amazing, but Norvell has earned what he has got now. He's the second highest paid coach in the ACC. I've got a friend that works at FSU in the athletic department. He just had to text me, Hack, and tell me that he's making $50,000 more now than Mario Cristobal.
Yeah.
So always a little bit of shot there, right? Somewhere. I mean, look, his record at 18-16 is not great, but the thing about it is, would it be safe to say now with him he would be making $8 million a year as that gets closer to 2029? How many of us would have said a year ago at this time that FSU would be the most optimistic team in the state?
Not many, and I'll tell you another thing, Brent. You're talking about Cristobal, throw Napier into the mix. I would imagine there's not a Florida State fan out there that would trade Mike Norvell for either Billy Napier or Mario Cristobal. And I imagine you ask Gator and Hurricane fans if you can trade your guy for Mike Norvell. Some people might say yes. So that's also a drastic change from where we were even 6 months ago.
Sure. Well, and of course, I do think that the Florida situation will eventually get better. I still think he's a good hire and will come through with that. And a lot of people disagree with this, and that's fine. But I'm telling you, Miami has as big of a rebuilding job as Florida does. And frankly, I mean, case in point, and people may not have heard some of this, but Jake Garcia, the quarterback, has ended up now at Missouri, which is very interesting. And they are looking for, now they have filled the void as far as defensive coordinator, getting the Tulane defensive coordinator to come aboard. So that helped that, but they've still got several positions to hire within the offense. And heck, again, they have got not one, but 3 non-Saturday games with Friday, September 1, Thursday, September 14th on a Thursday, and then Miami at Boston College on Friday, November the 24th, and I'm sure that will be a little brisk up there at that point. So certainly a lot of change with the state of Florida teams.
You get Brent Beard on First Coast News. You also get him right here weekly on Hacker After Dark. Brent, the Southeastern Conference, where I come from, $100 million. Boy, that's a lot of money. That'll buy you a lot of things. And the SEC, that buys them Oklahoma and Texas a year early. Brent, your opinion, people you've talked to around the conference, why was it so important for the SEC to bring OU and Texas in for the 24 season as opposed to waiting for the 25 season?
It would have been a problem with the expanded playoff for one, and now they're all in sync. The playoffs expanded 24. Texas OU would be in for 24. The interesting thing that's going to happen now is how the league's going to decide. Do you stay with 8 conference games? Do you go to 9? I really think they go to 9. That may not happen immediately, but I think that's going to happen. They're going to get rid of divisions. So it will be only basically one big league at this point. The top 2 teams will end up going to Atlanta instead of what we had this year with LSU with multiple losses playing an undefeated Georgia. But again, the thing that folks will take some adjustment for is when this begins, week 0 is going to be week 1. And heck, how about this? Georgia, Georgia Tech, Florida, Florida State is going to be the week before Thanksgiving, not the week after Thanksgiving or the Saturday after Thanksgiving. That will be some real changes, won't it?
Yeah, it will be, and I can't tell you that I'm going to like that. I mean, 39 years on this planet, about 33 of those I actually remember Florida State's the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Although, you know what, I say that, Brent, and talking through it, I thought the Friday night thing this past year was going to be awful. I didn't hate that. So maybe I'm more open to change as I'm getting older.
And listen, it worked out, frankly, well. They took advantage of it, which I think was important. And heck, what that also means is now what people are going to ask, well, what's happening with the Saturday after Thanksgiving? Well, that will be the SEC championship game. So everything's moved up because the playoffs are expanded, and you've got time. You've got to have time to get them in.
Brent, now what's interesting is they don't have a year to figure this out. They don't have 18 months. The schedule comes out like in October, right? So the league has 8 months basically to figure out what they're doing. Are you still here in that pod system where you have 3 of the same opponents every year and you rotate the other 5 or 6 to where you'll go to every opposing stadium once every 4 years, kind of like they're doing in the Atlantic Coast Conference?
Well, it depends on what day you ask that question, but for now, they're still trying to figure that out. Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, I don't think likes the word pod, so he's going to try to come up with something else for that. But as you mentioned, if they go to 9 games, it will be the 3-6 model, 3 permanent, 6 rotating, 1-7 will be 1 permanent and 7 rotating. If they do that, now the reason if they go to 9, the advantage of that would be, here's a really good example of it, is Georgia has yet to play at Texas A&M.
And the Gators have been out there 3 times.
Oh, yes. The ironic thing about that is Georgia and A&M are scheduled to play in 2024. That's pretty amusing, isn't it, Hack? So, but look, and I like what Sankey says, if they can pull this off, is if you're a player in the SEC, by the time that your eligibility is up, you will have at least played, if not every team in the conference, the majority of the teams of the conference. It was like Bama coming to Florida a couple of years ago, and as you remember that, that was the first time Bama had been there in 10 years. And heck, if you're the SEC commissioner, you don't want your better teams in the conference not to play each other, but once every 10 years?
No, I totally agree with that. Again, Brenton Beard here with us. I want to get to Georgia, Brent, but you've piqued my interest so quickly here. Do you think there'll be any, kickback, backlash? I mean, look, Florida, if it's a 1 constant 7 rotators, they're going to lose every rival except Georgia. If it's 3 constants and 6 rotators, well, maybe you keep Tennessee, maybe you keep, South Carolina, but the days of Florida playing LSU and Florida playing Kentucky and potentially Florida even playing Tennessee every year, those are about to go to the wayside. Will fans like that, or will that take them a while to get used to?
It'll take a while, but I do think when we get into the expanded playoffs that it will be worth it. But look, we'll get into this more later, but my big question is, heck, if they go to 9, can we still keep Florida, Georgia, Florida, and Jacksonville? So, to me, I think Jacksonville is going to put out an amazing amount of money in order to keep that game. But these are the questions that are fascinating that have yet to be decided.
All right, Brent, big news today in the Southeastern Conference there at Athens with the Georgia Bulldogs. His offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, who was a very big part of back-to-back national championships, is now on his way to the Baltimore Ravens, returning to the National Football League. Georgia obviously was ready for that, as they've already officially announced former Bulldog quarterback Mike Bobo is now the new OC there with Kirby Smart in Athens. Your reaction to Monken leaving and Bobo coming in there to Georgia?
First of all, Monken did a really good job, but he has a lot of NFL ties, interviewed with Tampa also, so he's going back. I think the thing that he was able to do with Georgia was how they utilized the tight ends. And these guys are monsters. They can catch the ball. So kudos to Monken for what he was able to do. Now, the other thing with this is Monken was really trusted by Kirby Smart. That had a lot to do with what happened with Monken, and I think the hiring of Mike Bobo had a lot to do with that, too. Bobo was on the team as an analyst and obviously knows everyone, so now he gets that OC job. And he will have much better players than he did when he was the OC with Mark Richt. But heck, you and I have worked together for basically decades now, and you remember this like I do. When Mike Bobo was at the end of his tenure at Georgia, do you remember like I do? They wanted to absolutely run him out on a rail. They thought he was the worst offensive coordinator in the nation, and were deliriously happy to get rid of him. I will be very curious how that welcome mat will be out for make Bobo his OC again.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Although he kind of gets to feel his way back in as they play three directional schools and Georgia Tech in the non-conference. Look, Georgia's the best team in the country, and far be it for me to say anything negative about them. And I understand, I believe it was Oklahoma this year that came off their schedule, and they had to find a replacement quickly.
Correct.
Georgia's schedule's a joke. I mean, I looked at it last night. It's a joke. They're going to be 20-point favorites in 9 of their 12 games. It's unbelievable how bad their schedule is.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. And look, the only time Georgia is really going to have any competition, hopefully with Florida, they do go to Auburn, and they've got Tennessee too. But the reality is, and they'll get the mulligan. You certainly will get it after you've won 2 national championships. But there's a real chance, they won't be tested until they get to the SEC championship game in the playoffs.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting, and you're right about that. But a new quarterback, now a new offensive coordinator. Times are changing at Georgia. We'll see if any team in the East has made up any significant ground there on the Dogs. Brent Beard. Brent, leave us with this, about 90 seconds to go. As far as Florida goes, look, they're cleaning up in the class of 2024. I had the opportunity to talk with DJ Lagway last week on Hacker After Dark. Unbelievably impressive young man. This is the analogy I used. The night is darkest just before the dawn. I get a feeling 2023, Brent, might be pretty dark for the Gators. They're going to lose. You look at that schedule, they could very easily lose 6 or 7 games.
Sure.
If Napier survives that, and look, there's already ESPN.com articles out saying keep your eye on a potential hot seat with Napier. I don't agree with that, but we know how Gator fans are. If Napier survives another subpar year, this 2024 class could be the dawn of something if they keep it together.
Yeah, I agree totally. Look, I think they may do well to be 7-5 or 6-6. Frankly, again, now one thing to keep in mind is Cam Rising, the Utah quarterback, who is coming back, tore his ACL in the Rose Bowl. Now he has had surgery in January. They think that he can be ready for next season, and this guy can play. Now, Florida really was able to take advantage of them in the opener. This time it's on the road at Utah. But that is one early thing to keep your eye on, Hack, is how functional will Cam Rising be by September.
Brent Beard, you get him on First Coast News. You also hear him right here on Hacker After Dark. If you want any Hawaii spring football updates, Brent Beard is your man. They're the first Division I team, Brent, in the spring drills with the spring game there on March 3rd. And I have no doubt if that thing's on TV somewhere, Mr. Brent Beard will be watching. Brent, always appreciate it, brother. Know you're busy. Thank you. We'll talk again soon.
Good. Always enjoy it, pal. Take care.
A new NASCAR season starts Sunday with the biggest race of them all.
And there's nobody that's better than Daytona.
Brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipefitters Local Union 234 from Jacksonville's NASCAR station, 1010XL.
Why live with foot or ankle pain? If you have persistent pain, numbness, tingling, burning pain on the bottom of your foot, or swelling that doesn't improve with home treatment, it may be time to see Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. Our foot and ankle specialists have innovative new options to help you get back in the swing of things without persistent pain that slows you down. Call JOI 2000 or go to joionline.net for an appointment.
15,000 workers. I'm Brian Rose from Remedy Staffing. We survey 15,000 blue-collar workers each year to better understand what drives quality and dependability in our workforce. The survey shows when looking for a new job, the initial pay rate, job security, and safety while working are the most important factors for hourly workers. If you're an employer and would like to learn more about the voice of the blue-collar worker, please call us at 904-528-1933.
The Tom Coughlin J Fun Wine Tasting Gala is coming up on Thursday, March 2nd. Join Coach Coughlin on the scenic downtown riverfront for culinary delights from some of Jacksonville's best restaurants and hundreds of the world's most renowned wines. Have a fun night out and be there to help provide financial and emotional support for local families who are tackling childhood cancer. To buy tickets, go to tcjfund.org/wine.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL FM, Jacksonville Beach.
I'm Sophia Monahan. One day, my sister and I will take over for my dad at Monahan Jewelers. Monahan's is your local family jeweler, and we're having our Valentine's sale now.
That's right, Sophia. Our Valentine's sale is up to 30% off on all GIA-certified diamonds and up to 40% off store-wide with interest-free financing on all purchases. Diamonds, gemstones, engagement rings. Support your local family jeweler now through Valentine's with huge savings on our entire inventory. Take it away, Sophie.
Monahan Jewelers at Alente Beach.
Are you looking for increased privacy and protection for your family and pets? Look no further than Superior Fence and Rail. Superior Fence and Rail is Jacksonville's top-rated fence company, delivering the highest quality fence products. They'll treat your property as if it's their own. So get off the fence and get your privacy back. Call Superior Fence and Rail today for your on-site estimates.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Instant Keys specializes in replacement of lost, stolen, or broken keys and remotes. Serving the First Coast for over 20 years, Instant Keys provides expert service for nearly every foreign and domestic vehicle, including most luxury models. So don't be intimidated by today's high-tech automotive keys. At Instant Keys, you get dealership-level service at a fraction of the time and cost without the dealership hassle. For honest, professional locksmith service, call Instant Keys today, 722-1111.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
This is Hayes Carlion for Kingfish Pest Control, a local family-owned business that specializes in pest, termites, mosquito, and rodent prevention. I tell you what, when I got my new home, I had to put on my reporter's hat, find out who really is the best, and it turns out there's no competition. Kingfish provides exceptional service and treats me like a valued customer, not just an account. That's why I wholeheartedly recommend Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Wholesale prices, premium service.
Captain Kevin here. This February, give your car the love it needs with Tire Outlet's $70 car care package. From an oil change, brake inspection, to a tire rotation and alignment check, Tire Outlet will give your ride the love it needs. Visit Tire Outlet to schedule your appointment today. Save now by shopping at TireOutlet.com.
Wholesale prices, premium service. Tire Outlet.
Jacksonville has some junk, and J-Dog is removing it. They're here to do the dirty work. You don't want to remove and dispose of large furniture or appliances yourself? Call J-Dog. Here now, proudly serving you, removing junk from your home or business. They can even handle small demolition projects, and they're still donating local items to veterans in need. So let J-Dog do the dirty work for you. J-Dog Junk Removal. Veteran-owned and operated. JDog.com.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Now.
Hello.
Another great guest on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the Accident Attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on the High School Spotlight, 1010XL 92.5 FM. We are glad you are with us. If you've listened to me over the years, you know how much I love my alma mater. They're on Powers Avenue, the Wolfson Wolfpack. They have a brand new head football coach at Wolfson High School. His name is Jermaine Wilson, and he's kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Coach, how we doing?
I'm great. Excited to be doing this interview.
Hey, Coach, congratulations, man, on Wolfson. I know you spent time at Mandarin as a defensive coordinator. You're very familiar with the area. Now you get the opportunity there at Wolfson. Talk about the process, Coach. What led you to the Powers Avenue?
Okay, like you said, it's the opportunity. looking for. I was looking for a school that was small in enrollment, so I can be a great part of the actual atmosphere. When I saw it became open, I called the AP, sent emails, and so I can get my name on the list because I felt that this is just the right fit.
You know, Wolfson, coach, and you know this, you're obviously from around these parts. You've been coaching for the last few years here. Those kids have had a lot of coaches in that building. That school has gone through a lot with the change in enrollment and the change in classification and everything. But I've said for a while, and I think you saw it last year, there's talent at Wolfson High School. That football team started doing something last year, so clearly there is things there for you to work with. There's a foundation already in place.
Oh yes, there is. It's a great foundation that's left by the coaches. So one of the things that I had to do when I was coming in was not really convince the adults about hiring me as a program, is actually convincing the kids that I'm actually going to be here. That I'm actually going to set a foundation. I'm going to watch it grow, and they are going to be a part of it. They start buying in from the first day I met them, and it's nothing but great things going on from here.
Jermaine Wilson, the brand new head coach at Wolfson High School. Coach, I mentioned Bobby Ramsey and Mandarin. You were a part of Bobby's staff there on the defensive side of the ball. What did you take away from Coach Ramsey? He's very excited that you have this opportunity in speaking with him. What has Coach Ramsey meant to you?
Coach Ramsey meant a lot. He allowed me to, a guy who didn't really know much of. I met with him, spoke to him, and once we became familiar with each other, he allowed me to do what he knew I was there for, which is take the defense to another level. He laid the building blocks for me to be successful on my side of the ball, which eventually led to me spreading out to try to do more things on the football team. So now, come to my chance to become a head coach, those are some of the foundational things I'm going to use. I'm going to allow my coaches to actually coach. Knowing that they understand the foundation and what I'm actually looking for. And those are the things that he showed me once I was hired.
Head coach Jermaine Wilson of the Wolfson Wolfpack here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville on the high school spotlight. Coach, give us some of your past. Where are you from? Where did you play ball? We know you coached at Mandarin. What other stops have you made along the way?
Okay, so my first coaching stop, I graduated from Livingstone College, a small HBCU in North Carolina. Where I played football for a couple of years and ran track. Once I graduated, I went back to my alma mater, Goose Creek High School. I served a year as a volunteer, which I never missed a practice. I came to every practice, so I was building my foundation there. Then I moved to Florida, Avon Park High School, which is a school that was similar in size, which gave me the feel that made me think that Wolfson is the place for me. I was the defensive back coach for a year, and I took over the defensive coordinator role. Then I moved to Haggerty High School, which is just behind UCF, where I was assistant for a year. Then I became the defensive coordinator for 2 seasons, which led me to come to Mandarin. I was assistant coach for 2 years, then stepped away from it for a while. And then I decided that everything was right with my family. I had to make sure my wife was good with me coming back to coaching. And I came back. That's when I spoke to Coach Ramsey. And we talked about being the defensive coordinator. He allowed me to do that. And then we won the state championship in 2018, and we were just building the foundation even stronger from 2018 to my last year, 2021.
Coach, it sounds like coaching is in your blood. When did you know that this is the direction you wanted your life to take?
After I graduated from college. I knew that, actually my last semester of college, I was an intern with the track team, and that's where it actually started. Coach Huff, Clifton Huff, was my track coach in college. He allowed me to come back because I had to do that extra semester. He allowed me to come back and work with the track team. And once I saw that, it just springboard from there, and it was just in me. The years that I took off, it was burning me. I had to be at the game. I had to be a part of the action. So that's where it came from, just the desire to be better. And seeing the end product with the kids, how they start off one way, they ended up a different way, with more discipline and not willing to accept failure. Those are the type of things that led me into coaching.
Final moments here with Jermaine Wilson, the brand new head coach of Wolfson High School. And, Coach, I see that you haven't been on the job long. You've already got the social media thing down. I saw a couple of interviews you did with, I believe, some of the students there at Wolfson. That's a big deal for a high school coach, right? With today's day and age and social media, you got to be active on there, and you're off to a good start in that department.
Yes, you have to be. And I saw that, looking for the Wolfson page, I saw some things before I was hired. And I know that the kids are over there working, so now we got to promote our product. And our product is the kids actually working so the coaches can see it. It was a real pleasure having my first actual interview on TV with the kids at the school. They were professional. They had some fun. We had some fun. And it was just a great atmosphere. I can't wait to see what we have in store.
Well, Coach, we're all excited. What's the process like now over the next couple of weeks leading into spring ball? Are you in the process of assembling a staff? What do you hope to accomplish here over the next month or so?
Okay, over the next month, we actually went through and started just cleaning up some areas that needed to just a little fixing up because I needed to be a certain way before I start bringing other people in. The kids are taking leadership roles as far as the cleaning and make sure things are in the same area where they're supposed to be. My coaching staff's going to look, people who want to put in the work. You may not get the glory the first year, but once you see that foundation that we built in steel, forged by fire, they're going to, everything's going to start taking off. We'll have more people coming in, have a bigger pool to choose from eventually. But right now, the people who I want to bring in are the ones who have something else to offer other than football. I'm looking for strong mentors. I'm looking for positive role models and things like that. So right now we're starting the weight program after school today. We're going to go 3 days a week. And then as we get closer, we're going to start expanding, going 5 days a week. We're trying to change some body types in the weight room. So you see big, bulky kids walking around. And then during the summer, we're going to slowly, stretch them and get them into that long, lean muscle group. But right now we got to change the body types. And that's what I'm trying to accomplish right now.
Jermaine Wilson, the head coach of Wolfson High School. Coach, I'm class of 2002. I know all about the Wolf Den. I loved my time out there. We actually made the playoffs my junior year in 2001, so it certainly can be done out at Wolfson High School. Best of luck, and we'll be talking to you a lot this upcoming season.
Okay, thank you for the interview.
There are different kinds of family.
XL Primetime.
Joe, Matt, Leon, and Mia.
One big happy family.
But what is it about us? I mean, why all this friction between us?
Noon to 3 weekdays.
You put on quite a show.
On 1010XL.
Now is the perfect time to make sure your home is protected from storms by scheduling a complimentary roof inspection with Universal Roof and Contracting. Experience the universal difference today. Protect your biggest investment, your home. Get $250 off roof repairs and $500 off a roof replacement. This offer expires February 28th and restrictions apply. Universal Roof and Contracting, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. License number CCC 1330747, CBC 1258484.
This month, the Key Buick GMC received 2.9% financing up to 60 months on available GMCs, $500 on all new vehicles for all active, retired, enlisted, and previous military. Check out the new Sierra Denali EV truck. Reserve yours now. As always, whenever you purchase a brand new vehicle from Key Buick GMC, it comes with a lifetime powertrain warranty. As always, we are professional grade. Key Buick GMC, Southside and Gate.
It all begins with Speed Weeks and the 65th running of the Daytona 500, February 15th through the 19th. Answer this question for a chance to win a pair of tickets to the Daytona 500, February 19th. How many miles is the Daytona 500? Text the number of miles only to 641-1010. How many miles is the Daytona 500? Text the number of miles only to 641-1010 for a chance to win.
Did you know that all graduates of Local 234's apprenticeship program are licensed journeymen? That means all plumbers, pipe fitters, welders, and HVAC techs will have hundreds of hours of experience and have passed the Jacksonville City Licensed Journeyman exam. They're the best trained and safest skilled tradespeople in the industry. Don't leave yourself exposed to inadequate workmanship or even danger. Always hire a licensed journeyman. Local 234. Make the right connection. Equal opportunity employer.
I open the door and take you inside the locker room to get you closer to the field, the players and coaches you care about.
Get a look at Hayes' blog on 1010XL.com.
My blog is brought to you by Roland Reach Plumbing,
where quality and experience count.
Hello, all you Jacksonville sports fans. Don here from Taco Lou. If you're in the mood for some great tacos, cold Dos Equis, maybe even a sip of some fine tequila, then the Lou is calling your name. Come out to Jack's Beach and experience what many have dubbed the #1 taco in the 904. There are plenty of great taco joints in town, and we're proud to have been around for this long, and we have only you, the fine people of Jacksonville, to thank for helping us grow and become who we are today. Cheers to you, Jacksonville, and thank you from the Lou crew. Taco Lou in Jacksonville Beach.
Years ago, when Harrell & Harrell was growing, we had a decision to make whether we were going to grow into the state or even beyond. And we decided that we were going to stay here in this community in Northeast Florida. It's staying here and not looking at where's the next place that we can go or how can we get bigger, because bigger is not necessarily better. This is our home. This is where our families are. This is where our friends are. And this is where we're going to stay. Offices, Jacksonville.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford.
Hello, Jacksonville. I'm going to get right to the heart of the matter. We have had 485 shootings in 2022. This includes murders and individuals being shot. Jacksonville is well on its way to being the murder capital of Florida per capita population again. The answer to the problem is simple. We as a community have got to come together and encourage one another to break the code of silence. Jacksonville cannot solve the problem, and they were not there when it happened. They desperately need our help. We have got to say enough is enough. I'm not going to take any more. Our family could be the next victim. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think.
For information about Mad Dad, go to Mad Dad's Jacksonville Chapter Facebook or MadDad'sJacksonville.com.
Everybody's talking about regenerative medicine because people have joint pain and are getting real lasting relief without drugs or surgery. Leon Searcy here. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in exciting treatments. They use highly concentrated healing agents from your own body to restore and repair damaged tissues. If you're ongoing joint pain from arthritis or injury, you need to call QC Kinetics. Don't assume that steroids and surgery are your only option. Times have changed, and regenerative medicine can get you moving again with no downtime. Stop taking the pain meds and discover the remarkable alternative that pro athletes have been using for years. Thanks to QC Kinetics, this amazing treatment option is now available to folks like you and me who are sick and tired of joint pain. Don't put these off any longer. Spring is coming, and you want to enjoy all life has to offer. Call QC Kinetics now, 904-274-5522. Get a free consultation with local medical professionals. QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522, with locations in Mandarin and Ponte Vedra.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Now,
hello.
Another great guest on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the Accident Attorneys at Farah and Farah.
And thank you to Jermaine Wilson, the brand new head coach at Wolfson High School, for joining us tonight here on the High School Spotlight on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. From one coach beginning his head coaching tenure to another coach that appears to be leaving his head coaching tenure, as Mike Kolakowski, one of our favorites, Coach K at Decoy Creek, has announced his retirement. He did it last week, and Coach K is always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Coach, how we doing?
I'm doing very good. How about yourself, Ryan?
Coach, we're good. Thank you for the time. And truthfully, this kind of caught me off guard a little bit, I'll be honest. When we went out there for Hackers High School football tour last year, so many good things are going on at Decoy Creek. Everything seemed to be going in the right direction. Not that it won't now, but I'll be honest, it did kind of catch me off guard a little bit. What went into your decision to call it a career last week?
Well, I always give myself, I don't care what's, when you're coaching, I give myself till after Christmas. All right. So, and then if you come back after Christmas and you're fired up and you're ready to roll, moving for the next year, because that's when the season starts in theory. I just didn't get that. I just didn't get that feeling. It was kind of like, okay, there's something that I can't give myself, 100%, to the program. And I talked to my wife and I've been doing this, Ryan, for 43 years, 41 in college and then 2 in high school. And I just felt like it was time. I kind of want to move on to my next chapter. And, God allows me a long chapter. I just want to be able to do some things that I'd like to do. Golf, fish, go see my granddaughter. So that's what all went into it.
Yeah, it's certainly understandable. No question about that. I mean, it was 2 years at Decoy Creek, but Coach, what you accomplished in those 2 years, from working out with tree logs, which I think is still one of the greatest stories of
you always remember that. You'll remember that one all the time.
Oh, that
you?
is just phenomenal. In year number 1, to that beautiful weight room you guys have out there now. You had 120 kids as part of the football program last year. I mean, clearly the arrow is pointing up there at Decoy Creek.
It is, and as I talked to Jeff Holland, our AD, and I never say I, but it's I've left it in a good position. I feel good about it. The kids are working hard. I think I know there's a foundation set for the next person to come in and hopefully take this thing, get to that 7th, 8th, 9th win. And there's a lot of positives but it's been done with a lot of hard work, from my staff and myself and our coaches and the administration. So I feel good that where it's at when the next person walks in.
How involved will you be in the process to find a new head coach?
I don't think, Mr. Holland, Mr. Jeff Holland's been an AD down at St. Augustine and then here at Decoy Creek. He knows what he's doing. So he might ask if I know somebody, but not, that's his call. And him and I've talked, all I want is what's best for our kids, and that they're going to find somebody that's going to keep it going in the right direction, which Mr. Holland will do.
Mike Holikowski, formerly the head coach of Decoy Creek, now about to enjoy some retirement after 43 years on the sidelines. You mentioned that, Coach, 41 in college, the last 2 here in St. Johns County. As you have taken time over the last few days, I'm sure, to reflect back, I mean, what a career. 43 years in the game of football. Congratulations. What sticks out to you the most?
Well, I think you can, it's the players, the other coaches, the relationships that you have built. I think that's for, top of my list. But I got to coach I went and coached it at versus Alabama, Auburn, Georgia Tech. In my career at Penn State, at Florida. So I got to coach in some really cool schools and great venues. So I'll remember that. And then here, the high school getting our first win, in 3 years ago, is just, that stands out so much. And even last year, getting that 6th win, this past season, it was a big relief off of me. But I just wanted our football team just to get that 6th win. So that was huge for us and the staff and the players. But there's a lot of memories. But it's all about people. It's a people business, and I'll never forget our kids here and all the people that I've been in contact, through my career.
It's one thing when you switch jobs in the college game. College guys, they're no longer really kids. College men kind of expect that. But the high school game is a little different, obviously younger generation. How difficult was it to explain your decision to them last week?
You know what? I was probably more nervous telling them than they are. They're kids, and they're resilient, and they understood, and they move on. It was You know, but I was worried. That's me. It's just, how do I say this? What do I say to the kids? What do I got to do? But they did a really good job. They all came up, thanked me and hugged me and all that kind of stuff. And I told them I'm going to be around. I'm around in February. I'm going to be around in March till hopefully they'll get their new head coach in there, and I'm coaching the weightlifting team. So it's not like I left that next day. So I'm around, and I told them I'm going to keep pushing their butts because, I put a lot of hard work in. I'm not going to let things slip, just because I decided I'm not going to be their head coach.
Final moments here with Mike Holikowski of Decoy Creek. Coach, we don't know this yet, but I'm assuming after 43 years, have you thought about, what happens in July when you might start getting the itch a little bit?
My wife says 6 months. It might be 4 months, and she might be telling me to get out and go find another job. You know what I'm saying? I will be, it will be, it'll be different, and it took me a year, to get out of the college work ethic and what you do in the college weekly thing too. So I got that. I kind of in the high school allowed me to kind of pick that up. So now I'm going to kind of go cold turkey. So it might be a little tougher.
Coach, as we wrap up, final question. What's next for you? You said your granddaughter, you want to, golf, fish, enjoy all the fruits of retirement. Do you plan to stay local? I know you came from up north. Do you plan on moving back up there? Have you given that much thought?
We got my wife has family in St. Simon's Island, so we've got a house that we're fixing on up, and that's where we're going to go. So I'll be close, and I'll be, like I told the kids, I'll come down to the ball game. No, I loved Jacksonville area, St. John's, and now my wife has her sister up in Brunswick area, so it's kind of worked out well. I'm not going to go back to Ohio; it's too cold. So I love the weather here, so we're good.
Coach K, Mike Kolakowski. Coach, always appreciate the time the last 2 years. Whenever we called, you were always gracious enough to come on. I certainly appreciate it. Enjoy retirement, my friend, and I have no doubt that you and I will be talking again sometime soon.
Thank you very much, and I'm very appreciative for everything that you've done, with our school and coming out and getting to meet our kids, because I think it's, as you know, there's some great kids over there.
Winning sure feels good.
I'm really proud of this team. Yeah, I feel good about our team.
Reflecting the passion of Jags fans. 1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
Want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Owen. I'm a cigarette.
Do you like being a cigarette?
No, I don't. Not really into killing thousands of people. Sorry, no filter.
Right.
What's your sign?
Pisces?
I'm a Cancer. Cigarette joke. But seriously, I do cause cancer. And heart disease. And strokes. I could go on forever, unlike the people who smoke me.
The average smoker lives 10 years less than non-smokers. Quit today. Find out how at tobaccofreeflorida.com.
Think mortgage rates are still super high? Think again. Rates have plummeted to 5-month lows. Hey, Prosser here. Call my friends at Loan Pronto now to see how low rates are. It may be time to do that refinancing you've been putting off, or time to get back to house hunting. If you're like a lot of people, you have way too much credit card debt right now, and you're getting fleeced with 20+% interest charges every month. Or maybe your current home rate is over 6%. Listen, you can get a quick, easy refi at Loan Pronto, wipe out all those cards, close in about 14 days, and cut your overall expenses by $500 a month or more. Right now, Loan Pronto is doing refis with APRs in the 4s. Call now to take advantage of this big rate drop. Get those credit cards to zero, start that home improvement project, or get out of that 7% loan you were forced into last year. Call Loan Pronto, 904-999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Chris, this needs to go to Parkville by 3.
Joy to the holiday packages that keep coming at Jimenez Couriers.
It's coming your way, but the drop-off location is changing.
She needs delivery drivers with the gift of punctuality.
Anyone looking to pick up some overtime? Anyone?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Don't miss the Players' Championship March 7th through 12th at TPC Sawgrass. Invite your friends and family to enjoy the ultimate fan experience, complete with bites from your favorite local restaurants and front row access to the PGA Tour's best players. While on site, be sure to visit the expanded PGA Tour fan shop to stock up on this year's championship gear. Secure your spot at the iconic stadium course today. Tickets and parking passes are on sale now at theplayers.com.
For a chance to win 2 tickets to the Daytona 500 with Fan Zone passes February 19th, answer this trivia question. How many miles is the Daytona 500? Text the answer to 641-1010 for your chance to win.
Tom Coughlin Wine Tasting Gala is Thursday, March 2nd. Join Coach Coughlin on the scenic downtown riverfront for culinary delights from some of Jacksonville's best restaurants and hundreds of the world's most renowned wines. Tickets are available at tcjfund.org/wine.
Hey, Hickett here. The Borland Groover Foundation proudly presents the annual March to Get Screened 5K race and 1 mile fun run Sunday, March 26th. The race starts at 8 a.m. under the Fuller Warren Bridge. The mission? To raise awareness and prevent colorectal cancer. All proceeds benefit the Borland Groover Foundation, a nonprofit organization devoted to helping the community and saving lives. Visit marchtogetscreened.com for more.
The Beach Boys. Live in concert. Saturday, February 25th at the St. Augustine Amphitheater.
Serving USA. Wouldn't it be nice if we
The Beach Boys return to the stage.
I wish they all could be good.
Tickets on sale now at theamp.com. Don't miss The Beach Boys live.
Yo! You looking for the lowest price on car insurance? E to the T here for Australia Car Insurance. Call 1-800-CAR-INSURANCE today. Australia is your quick and easy solution to pay less for car insurance and save a whole ton of cash. Compare quotes from more than 150 quality providers to get the coverage you need in just minutes. What you waiting for? Switch and save. Think about what you can do with all that extra cash. Call 1-800-CAR-INSURANCE. It's that easy. 1-800-CAR-INSURANCE or go to AustraliaInsurance.com.
Does your home or building need painting? For over 20 years, Performance Painting has had the privilege of preserving many of Jacksonville's most prominent buildings. That said, we feel like we're just getting started. I'm Jason Parker, and our team thrives on preparing, protecting, and preserving the homes, businesses, and public buildings that make up our local landscape. Contact us today to put our years of experience to work for you. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting.
So you're working on your car and truck, need a part, and someone who can advise you on how to install it. Come to Rusty Acres. They have the expertise and largest inventory of used Ford, Lincoln, and Mercury parts. Rusty Acres, 786-1777.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
Back here on the High School Spotlight, 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We're glad you're with us. Boy, the high school football coaching carousel has been spinning pretty good for the last 2.5 months. It is finally starting to calm down a little bit. Most of the jobs in the area have been filled. And let's look back on the carousel and the new coaches in new places. Let's do that with Justin Barney of Channel 4, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Justin, it feels like a while since we've done this, man. Hope all's been well with you.
Yeah, it's been a busy stretch. You know, kind of blinked and into the season was here and blink again, and now it's we're gearing up for spring football here soon. And as coaches' vacancies fill up, and we're down to just a few of those in the area. But heck, man, it flies by. Football season is a blur, and then you blink, and it almost feels like it's football season again.
Yeah, there's no question about that. All right, you've done this for a long time. To me, maybe not the number of jobs that came open, although I think that number's pretty big, to be honest, but the quality of jobs that came open. You look at this coaching carousel, boy, Justin, there's going to be a lot of, I guess, unfamiliarity with the fans with all these coaches in different spots.
Yeah, it's been an active off season, and as you mentioned, it's been I believe we have 12 openings that came about, 12 positions that were filled after the season. And you know, when you look at the numbers in our area, I mean, we've got more than 60 schools, and you got a dozen of those changing head coaches. So it seems like more of an active off season than traditionally. But really, the schools that are filling these positions are what's really more of the story to me. And you've got the big school in Bartram Trail. That was the big domino that fell with Daryl Sutherland leaving after a long time. They're the only coach that Bartram has had. That school opened in 2000. He's replaced by Corey Johns. And then schools like Fleming Island, changing from Damian Springs, who'd been a foundational piece over there, bedrock during some transitional times, and really saw that program to consistency and success. And Damian Springs replaced by Chad Parker. And then schools like Oakleaf getting a guy like Christopher Foy, who worked wonders at Jackson, who also coached at Fletcher. So some big programs changing names and at the big position. So I think those big schools that are making the moves, the non-traditional schools making the moves, the schools that you've seen consistency in, I think that's been the bigger storyline this offseason than the actual number of coaches.
Justin Barney of Channel 4 here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Justin, maybe it's a coincidence, but you look at some of the bigger public schools in our area. This year, like you said, you throw Fleming Island, Bartram Trail, Oakleaf, Atlantic Coast as a new head coach as well, Step Durham, who comes over from Wolfson. You go back a couple of years where Mandarin changed, Fletcher changed. Again, maybe it's a coincidence, but that's a lot of turnover for the big schools in our area in the last 24 months.
Yeah, it has, and I do think that's a product of a couple things. I think you've got high standards at some of these programs, and you change coaches to get some new blood in there and infuse it with some excitement, and maybe some of those positions got a little bit stagnant, or the guys in charge saw the greener pastures was not in coaching, and I think but I think at the underlying change of a lot of these coaching positions is the demands on these men are just extreme for a second job. I mean, this is not a position that's a full-time job like a college football head coach or coaches in Georgia. These are guys who are in these jobs as second jobs. I mean, part-time jobs essentially. And there's such a drain on your time and your resources and time with family and stuff. So I do think it's a opportunity for people to weigh these professions and see how your time is divvied up and split out. And I think some of these guys just say, hey, I need to spend some family time. I need to recharge. I need to decide if this is what I want to do long term. So you can't blame those guys for doing it. I mean, coaching pay just pitiful in the state of Florida across the board. So I think a lot of these guys, the Darryl Sutherlands of the world, the David Penlands, the Verlin Dormannys, the guys who have been doing this for quite some time, the Brian Braddocks, I think those days of those guys, those long-term coaches are going to get leaner and leaner by the years. It's just the profession is too draining, and I think you see that with a lot of this. Really, the coaching carousel spinning more frequently than it has in quite some time.
Justin Barney of Channel 4. All right, Justin, we'll circle back to the big schools in a moment for an overview. Since the last time you and I talked, I mentioned Step Durham leaving my alma mater, Wolfson, to go to Atlantic Coast. Wolfson has turned around and hired Jermaine Wilson, the former defensive coordinator at Mandarin, who was on Bobby Ramsey's staff when they won a state championship back in 2018. Durham to Atlantic Coast, Jermaine Wilson to Wolfson. Boy, that's a tongue twister. I got to get used to that. What do you think about those two hires in particular?
I like it. I like what Step did at Wolfson really can't be overstated. He brought that program back to respectability, and I point to how far that came in one season. Then week 11, when you play your biggest rival in Inglewood and you get blown out the previous year, and then you come around in Step's year and you beat Inglewood in that finale to kind of cap off your season. He didn't go to the playoffs, but a remarkable turnaround for Step Durham at Wolfson is one season there. You get to 500, you beat your rival, biggest rival in the season ender. Just a great turnaround there. And to go back to his alma mater, I covered Step when he was in high school at Atlantic Coast, was arguably still is the biggest recruit in that program's history. So that's just a natural move. And I've said this before, but when you can hire a guy that players know, that the players' parents know, that still somewhat young and they can relate to, I think that's a great thing to do. And for Step to land at Atlantic Coast, I think that's a home run hire. And for Jermaine, it's a chance to go and build off what Step did. And, he's a defensive-minded guy. Jermaine Wilson won that state championship at Mandarin. And I think it's a good hire for him, this new blood, younger guy who can get in there and really kind of build off what that last coach in Step did. And I think those are two very, very good hires for Atlantic Coast and Wolfson.
Yeah, you mentioned Step Durham. I remember Gunnar Cox from when he played at Yulee, and I believe he then went to JU. And I talked to Gunnar a couple of weeks ago, who's now the brand new head coach at West Nassau. Justin, I don't know what you were doing when you were 28 years old, but I wasn't in charge of 50 high school football players at the age of 28. kudos to Gunnar Cox at that age for getting a head coaching job. What was your thought on that hire out there at West Nassau?
Yeah, and again, another good one who kind of fits that mold. He played at Yulee and stayed in the area and played at JU, and he's just a guy who relates well to that area. And he's a guy that played in the Derrick Henry era of high school football and at Yulee and experienced success with the Hornets there. They were a state semifinal team when he played there. Played for a spot in the state championship game that eventually went to bowls, and a great game there. Played with Derrick Henry, has stayed here, has been an assistant coach, has kind of cut his teeth coming up through that system. So he is another guy, again, who knows the area well, who replaces Ricky Armstrong, a West Nassau grad himself. So they stay local, get that Nassau County guy, that tradition there. And again, it's similar to Steps Durham. You get a guy that players and their families probably know from playing in Nassau County. And I think a young coach, a coach that people can relate to and players can relate to is a very good thing. And, his brother, I believe Waylon Cox, will be coming over and helping him there from Hilliard. So you're bringing guys in there who know that county well. And I think it's great for programs to hire coaches who have attachments to that area, attachments to those communities. I do think that's a big positive. And Gunnar Cox, Waylon Cox, both those guys, extreme attachments to Nassau County football.
A couple of more for Justin Barney of Channel 4 here with us on the High School Spotlight on Hacker After Dark. Justin, shame on me. Haven't spent enough time on Keystone Heights over the years. But that'll change now because I'm very familiar with their brand new head coach, and Steve Reynolds, formerly of Oakleaf and Bradford, had the chance to talk to Coach Reynolds a couple of weeks ago as well. He seems awfully fired up. He's been out there for 3 years under Coach Dickinson. Now he gets his opportunity at Keystone Heights. What are your thoughts on that hire?
Yeah, another guy who kind of came up through that area, and he knows the Clay County. He was in Gainesville area with the Bradford situation, so you get a guy who knows that area well. Coached at St. John's Country Day, coached at Oakleaf, coached at Bradford. He's been at Keystone for 3 seasons as an assistant and a coordinator. And again, you have continuity there. Chuck Dickinson was there. I mean, he's another guy in that Darrell Sutherland mold, had kind of shaped that program during a 2-decade career there, more than 2 decades. And you kind of continue that consistency there by promoting from within. Steve's got head coaching experience. He knows that system well. Be interesting to see what offense they run as they change, maybe from more of that ground-based system to maybe being a little bit more diversified. But yeah, Steve Reynolds is a guy, again, a younger coach and, sub 50 years old who can get in there and maintain that tradition and put a new spin on that program as well. Again, Chuck had been there for quite some time, so never a bad thing for a change of pace, maybe an infusion of some new thoughts and viewpoints in that program. And I think Keystone will certainly benefit from Steve Reynolds' experience there.
Justin, the coaching carousel is indeed slowing down, although it got one last little jolt last week when we found out Coach K, Mike Kolakowski, out there at Decoy Creek in St. Johns County, is retiring after 2 years. That 2 years at the school, 43 years of coaching overall, so a well-deserved retirement for Coach Mike Kolakowski. But that Decoy Creek job, Justin, you know this, man. That's a good job. That's a really nice school. They had 120-plus players as part of their varsity and junior varsity program last year. A beautiful part of St. Johns County. I would imagine there's quite a few guys that would like that opportunity out there with the Toros.
Absolutely, and this is their first senior class this year. Again, anytime you're building in that fertile growth area of St. Johns County, that program is just ascending. That area of St. Johns County just booming out near World Golf Village, and whoever gets that job and is able to kind of get there is only going to trend upwards. You look at Creekside, you look at Ponte Vedra, the last 2 new schools coming to St. Johns County before Beachside, Decoy Creek. You just see those guys on the ascent. It doesn't take them long to get there, and Coach Kolakowski had the Toros in that playoff conversation in just year 2, and it'll be nice to see that rivalry with Beachside, the new school that opened off of 210, it just kind of grow and grow and grow, and I think that rivalry is going to continue just to be blockbuster, and a well-deserved retirement to Coach Kolakowski. The guy has done it for many, many decades, mostly at the college level. He came to this program and built it up from the ground up. So great to see that he's left it in very good hands. And I think the next coach is set up very well for long-term success.
Justin Barney of Channel 4. Justin, as we begin to wrap up, the coaching positions that have been filled, not necessarily the best, but I'm curious, you're one or two, or if you want to give a handful, most interesting. That could mean whatever you think, whether you like them, whether you like the fit, you don't necessarily like the fit. What has stood out to you most about the positions that have already been filled?
Yeah, I think I look at a position like Bartram Trail. That one probably surprised me the most. Is when you have a coaching staff of that length of time. A lot of those Bartram guys have been around for quite some time. You don't promote from within, or you go a different direction, hire a guy from out of the area. And Corey Johns is a rising star in that profession. So that to me was a little bit of a surprise, just a name you didn't associate with that program. I think with Chad Parker going to Fleming Island, that maybe took the in-house candidate off of the table. I think that's an interesting hire, but I like the mix of guys. Step Durham getting his second job at his alma mater. I like that. I like Jermaine Wilson. He wasn't coaching last year, and now he's back in the mix, coaching at Wolfson. I think that's an interesting thing. I like the Gunnar Cox hire at West Nassau. A Nassau County kid kind of coming home to reshape and build that program. So I think it's a good mix of the older names and a guy like Ben White, who's had that assistant coaching experience before. He's going down to build something at Menendez, kind of returning home to a program he knows well a little bit. So I like it's a good mix of storylines, good mix of younger coaches getting their first shot at a head coaching role, and also some guys who are still ascending in their career, like a Christopher Foy making that jump from the Gateway Conference over to Oakleaf. So a lot of good storylines, and I still think some ones that have not been filled are set up for some pretty good things there too.
Yeah, we love it. The Friday Night Lights will be back before we know it. As you said, spring football just on the horizon. Justin, leave us with this. Kind of a cool moment for a young lady down in St. Johns County, Talia Scott, named a McDonald's All-American. She's been committed to the University of Arkansas for, well over 18 months. She's stuck by that commitment and is rewarded being a McDonald's All-American. Quite the honor there.
Yeah, great for Talia, great for St. John's Country Day. And again, for people who don't follow girls basketball in the area, and you always hear McDonald's All-American, and that's such an honor. We've only had 3 girls in area history receive that honor. All have been from Ribault, Dorian Williams, Erica White, and Renaya Davis. So for Talia Scott to get that honor, she's a career 2,000-point scorer, was actually second in the country for a good bit of time in scoring average this year. And the sky is the limit for her. She signed with Arkansas, actually had a pig show up to the signing day. Her parents weaved the pig into the signing day moment. So really good family. Excellent scorer, and I think she's going to thrive. The McDonald's All-American ceremony for her coming up here soon, but just a great story down there in Clay County and St. John's Country Day for Talia Scott.
Justin Barney of Channel 4. Justin, appreciate the time. Know you're very busy, man. Thank you as always. We'll talk again soon.
Take care, Hack. Thanks for having me.
There you go. Justin Barney of Channel 4 joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark on the high school spotlight. And yeah, that'll do it. I mean, look, the bottom line is you had a lot of coaching openings. You had some coaching jobs that were filled by very good candidates, and it'll be very interesting to see what happens when spring football starts and, of course, when the 2023 regular season starts in the middle to late part of August. That'll wrap it up for what's been a very busy Tuesday night edition, our late show on Hacker After Dark. We certainly thank you guys for staying up late with us tonight here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank, including Justin Barney of Channel 4. Thank you to the brand new head coach at my alma mater, at Wolfson, Jermaine Wilson, for joining us tonight. Enjoyed my first conversation of what I hope to be many conversations with Coach Wilson. Thank you to Mike Kolakowski, retiring from Toccoa Creek after 43 years in coaching. The final 2 there in St. Johns County with Toccoa Creek, a well-deserved retirement for one of the good guys in the area, Coach K, Mike Kolakowski. In hour number 1, Brent Beard stopped by. A lot going on. Todd Monken leaving Georgia. Mike Norvell getting a contract extension. So a lot going on in the world of college football.